You could tell he was nervous. The man who once ruled the hip-hop world with an iron fist and a velvet smile, now trembling in a federal courtroom, asking permission just to use the bathroom. This is not the Diddy we knew. The flashy mogul who built an empire, partied like a king, and commanded every room he walked into. No, this is a different version of Sean Diddy Combs, one stripped of power, confidence, and control. And in one shocking moment during jury selection, the judge reportedly lost it after Diddy returned from that very bathroom break. What happened behind those closed doors? Was it just nerves getting the best of him? Or did something shady go down while he was out of sight? Insiders say the courtroom descended into chaos, with tension so thick you could cut it with a knife. Between the baby oil, the leaked footage, and the storm of lawsuits, this might be Diddy's most humiliating moment yet. But make no mistake, this isn't just about a bathroom break. It's about a fall from grace so dramatic, it reads like a Shakespearean tragedy. From Bad Boy Records to the Metropolitan Detention Center, Diddy's life has taken a catastrophic turn. Federal charges of racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation for prostitution loom over him like a guillotine. He turned down a plea deal. He chose to fight. And now, as his trial unfolds, the world watches in stunned silence as one of music's most iconic figures battles not just for his freedom, but for his legacy. So, buckle up. We're diving deep into the courtroom breakdown that had even the judge losing their cool. From the moment Diddy asked to step out, to the explosive aftermath of his return, this is the story of how far he's fallen, and what it means for the future of one of the most controversial trials of the decade. It started with a lawsuit that shook the internet, but what followed was nothing short of a full-blown legal avalanche. In November 2023, former girlfriend and singer Cassie Ventura dropped a bombshell civil lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs, detailing years of alleged abuse, manipulation, and sexual exploitation during their decade-long relationship from 2007 to 2018. The suit described a pattern of control, coercion, and violence, painting a picture far removed from the glamorous image Diddy had long cultivated. Though the case settled within 24 hours, it opened the floodgates for a tidal wave of new allegations. Within weeks, more than 25 additional accusers came forward with their own lawsuits, some dating back decades. These claims ranged from sexual assault and forced drug use to human trafficking and emotional blackmail. What began as a single accusation quickly spiraled into a massive reckoning with Diddy's past. And by March 2024, the federal government stepped in with a dramatic, coordinated raid on his properties in Los Angeles and Miami. Federal agents from Homeland Security Investigations seized electronics, documents, and over 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Items prosecutors later claimed were linked to so-called freak-offs, allegedly drug-fueled sex parties where women were coerced into performing with male escorts while Diddy watched and recorded. The indictment, unsealed in September 2024, was devastating. Diddy faced 5 serious federal charges: 1 count of racketeering conspiracy, 2 counts of sex trafficking, and 2 counts of transportation for prostitution. If convicted, he could be sentenced to life in prison. The indictment alleged that from 2008 through the present, Diddy orchestrated a criminal enterprise involving violence, threats, and intimidation to exploit women sexually, using employees from his businesses to facilitate and cover up the abuse. Diddy turned himself in on September 16, 2024, and appeared in court the next day. His defense team, including high-profile attorneys Mark Anthony Agnifilo, Tenny Garagos, and Brian Steele, immediately sought bail, citing his clean criminal record and deep ties to the community. But the judge denied the request, calling him a flight risk and ordering him held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. Multiple attempts to secure release were denied, even when his team offered multi-million-dollar bail packages. Despite the overwhelming evidence stacked against him, Diddy refused a plea deal reportedly offering 10 to 15 years in prison. He chose to fight. This decision would lead him straight into the courtroom drama that would become the most humiliating moment of his trial yet. A shocking bathroom break that left the judge furious and the entire courtroom in chaos. But before we dive into that, it's important to understand just how much pressure Diddy was under, how many lives this case touched, and why this trial has become one of the most anticipated legal showdowns of the decade. The courtroom was already buzzing with tension on May 5, 2025, the first day of jury selection in Diddy's high-stakes federal trial. Every move he made was under a microscope, and from the moment he stepped into the Manhattan courthouse, it was clear that the man once known as hip-hop's ultimate baller was now a shadow of his former self. His face was gaunt, his hands trembling, and his once confident swagger reduced to cautious steps. But nothing could have prepared observers for what happened next. During the early stages of jury selection, Diddy, visibly nervous, raised his hand and, in a rare moment of humility, asked the judge for permission to use the restroom. Witnesses in the courtroom, including Breakfast Club correspondent Lauren LaRosa, described the surreal sight of one of music's most powerful moguls having to ask for bathroom breaks like a schoolboy. "You could tell he was nervous," LaRosa reported. "He said it right there in court. He was like, 'Excuse me, Judge. You know, I'm a little bit nervous.' My man looked skinny as hell, face all pale, and that signature black hair is now salt and pepper like he aged 20 years overnight." But what seemed like a minor break quickly spiraled into one of the most dramatic moments of the trial. As soon as Diddy left the room, whispers began circulating about what he might be doing behind closed doors. Was he coordinating with his legal team, making secret calls? Or worse, was he trying to influence someone or destroy evidence? According to insiders, the judge grew increasingly agitated during Diddy's absence. When he finally returned, the atmosphere in the courtroom shifted dramatically. What followed was described by those present as pure chaos. The judge reportedly lost their composure, expressing frustration over the disruption and questioning whether Diddy had taken advantage of his time out of the room. Some reports suggest the judge even reprimanded Diddy's legal team for failing to maintain control of their client. Others say the courtroom descended into confusion as attorneys scrambled to respond to the judge's sudden outburst. This wasn't just a hiccup in proceedings, it was a symbolic moment in Diddy's downfall. Just months earlier, this was a man who ruled boardrooms, parties, and entire industries with an iron fist. Now, he was being scolded like a child for stepping out of line. It was a stark reminder of how much power he had lost, not only legally, but culturally. No longer untouchable, no longer above scrutiny, Diddy was now at the mercy of the law, the media, and public opinion. The incident also raised serious questions about Diddy's mental state. Was he trying to pull something shady while out of sight? Or was this simply the result of immense pressure and anxiety? Either way, the moment highlighted the intense psychological toll his trial was taking on him. His legal team later confirmed that Diddy was deeply involved in every aspect of his defense, constantly reviewing juror profiles, studying documents, and strategizing with his lawyers. But even with all that preparation, the stress was clearly getting to him. This bathroom break fiasco became more than just a courtroom blunder. It was a window into the unraveling of a once unshakable empire. From calling all the shots to needing permission to leave the room, Diddy's fall from grace couldn't have been more dramatic, and this was only the beginning of what would become one of the most chaotic trials in modern celebrity history. The moment Diddy returned from his bathroom break, the courtroom atmosphere shifted from tense to explosive. What had started as a routine pause in proceedings quickly escalated into one of the most dramatic outbursts witnessed during his trial. According to insiders and courtroom observers, the judge, who had already been under pressure to maintain order and move the trial along swiftly, reportedly lost it upon Diddy's return. Sources described the scene as chaotic, with the judge visibly frustrated and raising their voice over what they perceived as a disruption in protocol. The judge's frustration was not just about the time lost, but also about the suspicion that Diddy may have used the opportunity to communicate with someone outside the room, possibly even coordinating with members of his legal team or others in ways that violated courtroom rules. One insider revealed, "The judge was clearly agitated. There were questions about whether Diddy had tried to send messages, make calls, or otherwise use that time inappropriately. Whether he did or not, the optics were terrible. It looked like he was trying to pull something shady." This moment wasn't just about procedural missteps. It was symbolic of the broader tension surrounding Diddy's trial. Once a man who operated above scrutiny, now he was being watched like a hawk. Every movement controlled, every word recorded. His request to use the restroom, a basic human right, was treated like a security risk, and when he finally returned, he was met with the full weight of judicial authority, reminding him who was really in charge. The judge reportedly reprimanded both Diddy and his legal team for failing to maintain proper decorum and control during the break. Some reports suggest the judge even warned that if such disruptions continued, stricter measures would be taken, including the possibility of restraining Diddy in court or limiting his access to private conversations during breaks. Lauren LaRosa, reporting from inside the courtroom, noted how the entire incident seemed to rattle Diddy further. "He came back looking even more nervous than before," she said. "His whole demeanor changed. He sat down, kept his head low, and stayed glued to his tablet. You could tell he knew he'd messed up." What made this moment even more significant was the context of the trial itself. The judge had been adamant about keeping the proceedings on schedule, emphasizing that this case would not be dragged out like a Netflix docuseries. Every minute counted, and any deviation from the plan was seen as a threat to the integrity of the process. But beyond the logistical concerns, there was a deeper issue at play: the symbolism of Diddy's fall from power. Just months earlier, he had been a mogul who dictated terms to executives, celebrities, and business partners. Now, he was a defendant needing permission to leave his seat, scolded by a judge in front of a packed courtroom filled with reporters, victims, and family members. The incident also highlighted the immense psychological toll the trial was taking on Diddy. His legal team later confirmed that he was deeply involved in reviewing juror profiles, studying documents, and strategizing with his lawyers. But despite all that preparation, the stress was clearly getting to him. The bathroom break fiasco became a window into the unraveling of a once unshakable empire. As the judge regained control of the courtroom, the message was clear. This was no longer Diddy's world. The gavel had replaced the platinum chain, and justice, not influence, would determine the outcome of this historic trial. There's a reason people say prison changes you, because it does. And for Sean "Diddy" Combs, the once larger-than-life mogul now sitting in a federal courtroom, the transformation has been nothing short of staggering. Gone is the swagger, the designer suits, and the commanding presence that once ruled hip-hop and high fashion. In his place is a visibly aged, nervous, and emotionally drained man who seems to be fighting not just for his freedom, but for his very identity. Lauren LaRosa, reporting from inside the courtroom, painted a vivid picture of how much Diddy has changed since his arrest. His face, once full of confidence and charisma, now appears pale and gaunt. His signature black hair has turned salt and pepper, giving him the look of someone who's aged decades overnight. Witnesses say his hands trembled as he sat at the defense table, flipping through documents, glued to his tablet, and intensely studying every potential juror's profile. There was no faking it. This was a man under immense pressure, trying to hold on to whatever control he could. But despite his nerves, Diddy wasn't checked out. Far from it. According to insiders, he showed up with what can only be described as an entire legal arsenal. Boxes of paperwork, digital files, and notes meticulously prepared by his legal team. He was deeply involved in the jury selection process, watching each potential juror like a hawk, analyzing their background, and reportedly even whispering suggestions to his attorneys. This wasn't just about legal strategy, it was personal. Diddy knew this trial could define the rest of his life. His legal team, which includes powerhouse attorneys Mark Anthony Agnifilo, Tenny Garagos, and Brian Steele, has made it clear that they're treating this case with the seriousness it deserves. But even with top-tier representation, the emotional toll on Diddy has been undeniable. Court observers noted how he often looked overwhelmed, constantly shifting in his seat, wiping his brow, and avoiding eye contact with Cassie Ventura, the woman whose allegations are at the center of the prosecution's case. The psychological strain isn't surprising. For years, Diddy was known for calling all the shots, making multi-million-dollar decisions without blinking. Now, he's being forced to sit quietly while others decide his fate. The reversal of power is jarring, and the stress is showing. It's one thing to be arrested and locked up. It's another to have your entire life, your legacy, and your darkest secrets dissected in public court. And yet, despite everything stacked against him, Diddy hasn't given up. He turned down a plea deal that would have offered him 10 to 15 years in prison, choosing instead to fight it out in court. That decision alone speaks volumes about how seriously he's taking this battle. Not just legally, but emotionally. Whether it's pride, denial, or sheer desperation, one thing is certain. Diddy is determined to prove that he's not done yet. But in a courtroom where the judge rules with an iron fist and the evidence keeps piling up, the question remains, how long can he keep holding on? Jury selection in Diddy's trial was anything but routine. In a case that has dominated headlines, social media, and public discourse for over a year, finding jurors who hadn't already formed strong opinions about the hip-hop mogul proved to be one of the biggest hurdles of the entire legal process. With more than 25 civil lawsuits, a viral assault video, and federal charges alleging racketeering and sex trafficking, the pool of potential jurors was already heavily influenced before they even stepped into the courtroom. The judge, U.S. District Judge Arun Subramanian, made it clear from the start that he wanted this trial to move quickly and efficiently. He had no patience for delays or missteps, and when issues arose during jury selection, his frustration boiled over. One particularly tense moment came when a potential juror revealed they worked at the Metropolitan Detention Center, MDC, Brooklyn, the very jail where Diddy had been held since September 2024. The revelation sent shockwaves through the courtroom. Judge Subramanian immediately reprimanded both the prosecution and defense teams, demanding better vetting of future jurors. "Y'all got to do better," he snapped, emphasizing how serious the accusations were and how crucial it was to ensure an impartial jury. "These accusations are serious. We can't slip. Things can't slip." It was a rare but telling outburst, one that underscored just how high the stakes were in selecting a fair and unbiased jury. Another major complication came when another potential juror admitted they had seen the infamous 2016 surveillance footage of Diddy assaulting Cassie Ventura in a hotel hallway. That video, leaked in May 2024 and widely circulated online, showed Diddy dragging, kicking, and throwing objects at Ventura, confirming years of abuse allegations she had previously made under seal. Despite the jurors swearing they could still remain objective, Diddy's defense team successfully argued that the exposure compromised fairness and requested the juror be dismissed. This issue highlighted a broader challenge. In the digital age, avoiding pre-existing bias is nearly impossible, especially in cases as high-profile as this one. With so much content circulating on social media, news outlets, and podcasts, potential jurors were likely exposed to some version of the story long before stepping foot in court. As a result, attorneys on both sides were forced to scrutinize each candidate with surgical precision, asking detailed questions about their online habits, media consumption, and personal connections to the case. Ultimately, the judge agreed to a strategy of narrowing down the jury pool gradually rather than rushing the process. Instead of locking in all 12 jurors and 6 alternates up front, the final selections would wait until right before opening statements, allowing both sides to adjust based on how the trial unfolded. This approach gave the legal teams more flexibility, but also added pressure to maintain momentum without compromising due diligence. As the trial progressed, it became increasingly clear that assembling a truly neutral jury wasn't just difficult, it was borderline miraculous. And with tensions already running high, every decision during this phase carried weight far beyond the courtroom. The moment news of Diddy's arrest broke, the internet exploded. What started with Cassie Ventura's explosive lawsuit in November 2023 quickly snowballed into a full-blown cultural reckoning. Social media was flooded with reactions, some shocked, some disgusted, and others simply saying, "We knew." Across platforms like X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, hashtags like #JusticeForCassie and #DiddyDownfall trended within minutes of his indictment. Memes, hot takes, and viral commentary spread like wildfire, reflecting both outrage and a long-simmering skepticism about Diddy's power and influence. Public perception of Diddy shifted almost overnight. The man once celebrated as hip-hop's ultimate mogul, a symbol of black excellence and entrepreneurial success, was suddenly being scrutinized under the harshest spotlight. For many, especially survivors of abuse and advocates for women's rights, this was a turning point, a rare moment where a powerful figure was finally being held accountable. Others, particularly longtime fans and industry insiders, struggled to reconcile the allegations with the image they had of the charismatic bad boy founder. But it wasn't just the general public reacting. Celebrities also voiced their opinions, some subtly, others loudly. One of the most vocal critics was 50 Cent, who had long-standing beef with Diddy. He didn't hold back, using the scandal as content for his social media brand, while also hinting at past knowledge of Diddy's behavior. In a July 2024 interview with The Hollywood Reporter, he even claimed he avoided Diddy's events due to uncomfortable energy, suggesting that many in the industry may have known more than they let on. Comedian Cat Williams became an unlikely prophet after a January 2024 podcast in which he warned about Diddy's alleged behavior, even predicting that predators like him would face consequences in 2024. His words resurfaced after the arrest, earning him renewed attention and praise for speaking truth to power when few others did. On the flip side, figures like Amber Rose took a more neutral stance, claiming she never witnessed anything inappropriate at Diddy's parties. Meanwhile, many celebrities who were once close to Diddy went radio silent or publicly distanced themselves, signaling a dramatic shift in loyalty and reputation. From admiration to condemnation, the celebrity world's response reflected the broader cultural divide. Was Diddy being railroaded, or was this long overdue justice? Either way, the verdict from the court of public opinion was clear. The King of New York had fallen. The allegations against Sean Diddy Combs didn't begin with his federal indictment. They were the dark undercurrent beneath his decades-long reign in music, fashion, and entertainment. The floodgates opened in November 2023 when former girlfriend Cassie Ventura filed a civil lawsuit that detailed years of alleged abuse, manipulation, and sexual exploitation during their decade-long relationship from 2007 to 2018. Her suit painted a harrowing picture of control, coercion, and violence. Far removed from the glamorous image Diddy had carefully curated. But what made her allegations even more explosive was the fact that they weren't isolated. Within weeks, more than 25 additional accusers came forward with lawsuits of their own, some dating back decades. These ranged from sexual assault and forced drug use to human trafficking and emotional blackmail. What started as one woman's story quickly became a massive reckoning with Diddy's past, one that would eventually draw the attention of federal authorities. At the heart of the case was the so-called freak-offs, described by multiple witnesses and victims as drug-fueled sex parties, where women were allegedly coerced into performing with male escorts while Diddy watched and recorded. According to court testimony, these events took place over many years across multiple locations, including New York City, Miami, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and even international destinations like Turks and Caicos. One of the most disturbing aspects of these gatherings was the scale. Federal agents later seized over 1,000 bottles of baby oil from Diddy's properties, which prosecutors claimed were used during these alleged encounters. Cassie's allegations were particularly damning. She testified that she was pressured into participating in these freak-offs, often under the influence of ecstasy, cocaine, marijuana, ketamine, and mushrooms. She described feeling disgusting, humiliated, and worthless during these encounters and said Diddy controlled every aspect of them, directing what happened and sometimes recording the sessions as blackmail to keep her in line. "I loved him, but I was scared of him," she stated in court, emphasizing the coercive nature of their relationship. The strongest visual evidence came in May 2024, when surveillance footage surfaced, showing Diddy assaulting Cassie in a hotel hallway in 2016. The video, obtained by CNN, showed Diddy dragging, kicking, and throwing objects at her, an undeniable confirmation of the physical abuse she had long described. This moment shattered any remaining doubts about the seriousness of the accusations and led to Diddy issuing a public apology, though many viewed it as damage control rather than genuine remorse. Federal prosecutors built on these claims with an indictment unsealed in September 2024 that accused Diddy of running a criminal enterprise involving racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation for prostitution. The charges allege that from 2008 through the present, Diddy orchestrated a system of abuse using employees from his businesses to facilitate and cover up the misconduct. The legal battle that followed would become one of the most anticipated trials of the decade. And the bathroom incident during jury selection was just one of many dramatic moments that underscored how far Diddy had fallen. Diddy's trial isn't just about one man. It's a seismic cultural reckoning that speaks to the broader issues of power, accountability, and justice in America. At its core, this case is about how influence can be weaponized, how silence can be bought, and how long it takes for the truth to surface when the accused is a titan of culture and commerce. For decades, Diddy was seen as untouchable, a mogul who shaped music, fashion, and pop culture with an iron grip. But now, he sits in a courtroom, pale, trembling, and stripped of control, facing life behind bars. This moment echoes the wider Me Too movement, where survivors are no longer silenced by fear or intimidation. Cassie Ventura's lawsuit didn't just open the floodgates for dozens of other accusers, it ignited a firestorm that forced Hollywood, the music industry, and the public at large to confront uncomfortable truths. The leaked hotel video wasn't just damning evidence, it was symbolic proof that even the most powerful figures can fall when enough voices rise together. The implications stretch far beyond Diddy himself. This trial has reignited conversations about how we view consent, coercion, and abuse, especially when money and fame are involved. It forces us to ask hard questions. How many other stories remain untold? How many more victims have been pressured into silence by legal threats, financial settlements, or sheer intimidation? What makes this case particularly significant is that it's not just a civil lawsuit, it's a federal prosecution. The government is treating these allegations with the seriousness they deserve, framing Diddy not just as an abuser, but as the head of a criminal enterprise built on exploitation. That sends a clear message. No amount of wealth or influence will protect those who prey on others. Regardless of the verdict, Diddy's legacy is already fractured. Whether he walks free or serves time, his name will forever be linked to pain, trauma, and betrayal. And for victims everywhere, this trial stands as a testament to resilience, an undeniable sign that justice may take years, but it can still be served. Diddy's trial has been nothing short of a cultural earthquake. From the moment he nervously asked for a bathroom break in court, only to return to a judge reportedly losing it, to the explosive testimonies, damning video evidence, and the unraveling of a decades-long legacy, this case has captivated the world. What started as one woman's lawsuit has turned into a seismic reckoning with power, abuse, and accountability. The courtroom drama, the jury selection chaos, the public outrage, it all paints the picture of a man who once ruled an empire, now fighting for his freedom. Whether you see Diddy as a fallen icon or a predator finally facing justice, there's no denying that this trial is historic. It's not just about one person. It's about the systems that enabled him, the victims who found their voices, and the broader conversation about how we handle abuse at the highest levels of influence. As the trial continues, the world watches to see if the gavel will fall on one of hip-hop's most controversial figures, or if Diddy will somehow defy the odds. But regardless of the verdict, the damage is done. The image is shattered. The legacy is forever changed. If you enjoyed breaking down every shocking detail of this courtroom saga, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more updates. Let us know in the comments, do you think Diddy will be convicted? And what does this mean for other powerful figures facing similar allegations? Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more coverage on what could be the trial of the decade.